everybody. This is Devin White, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioner's Clubhouse and the LCC Network for the 26th week or episode, whichever you want to call it, of our fantasy offseason. We've got a good show. We're going to talk about greatest moments in LCC history. And with me today, I have got Cody, but Jameson is out. He wasn't feeling good this evening. So it's just the two of us tonight. How's it going, man?
I'm all right. Hopefully, I will be enough for the
Huh.
viewers.
You're always enough for me, so that's all that needs to happen, really. So
I guess that's all that matters.
no, but we got a good one for you guys. I mean, this is literally all we're covering today, just because we're gonna have so much to talk about in the coming week with our fantasy waiver wire, off-season waiver wire, and we're gonna be discussing our rankings too, which is gonna be a lot of fun. So this one's kind of a little bit more laid back. We're gonna dive into some of the greatest moments and even some of the not so greatest moments in our league's 10-year history, going on 11 years now. Let's kick it off. Let's kick it off with a cool intro sound drop for this. We're gonna start out with the bloopers, if you will, the not so great LCC moments. Let me find one real quick. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So our not too great. By the way, that was NFL Fever 2002. If anyone ever played that back in the day, the PlayStation 1 or 2, I can't remember where I played that on. But anyways, let's dive into this, Cody. We've got some really funny, I feel like, moments in LCC history that were the not so greats. I think we should kick it off with one of the earlier ones. It was back in 2011 in the summer, second draft. Storm, who's the owner of the Vegetarians, drafted Ocho Cinco in the first round. And don't think Cincinnati Bengals Ocho Cinco. This is the year he went to New England after Randy Moss had left New England. So I guess his whole idea of the whole thing was, oh, he's gonna be just like Randy Moss. It's gonna be that type of season for Chad Johnson. He's gonna blow it up. It's gonna be great, and it ended up totally backfiring. One of the worst first round picks in league history by far. When you look at what he ended up doing, I don't even know what rank he ended up finishing at, but he was nowhere near going where I think he was like the first pick or top 3 pick in the draft. Do you remember that, Cody?
Yeah, I was about to say. I think it's. I honestly want to say it was somewhere between 3 to 5. It could have been 4, but it could have been 3. I want to say it was 3. I'm really, if I can remember correctly. But this one's the most talked about too. I don't think there's been a couple of podcasts where we mentioned this. I don't know, blooper, is a fumble, I guess.
Oh, we talk about it all the time for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I've got his. I forgot to
But
play Storm's sound drop for him. Here we go. Oh, never mind. It's not even the right one. Ah, dang it. Oh well. maybe it's better we don't.
fixing it all in that.
That's right.
But no, I mean this one's definitely one of the funniest ones, and I could see his thought process. It was a decent thought process, but my only thing is there's probably nobody else had that thought process, and there's almost guarantee you could have got him later.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think.
almost guaranteed. Yeah, I don't think anyone was thinking, dude. I hope Chad Johnson falls me in the first round. I'm just hoping no one will buy him so I can get him. I don't think anyone was thinking that at any point in the draft.
Storm's that guy that it doesn't matter where you are. Once you find the guy you want, you get him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's
Uh,
I
who would
think
you?
Edmund.
I was about to say,
What?
who would you compare him to in the league?
What do you mean?
Like out of the characters, did you ever watch the show The League?
Oh yeah, the league. Oh
Yeah.
dude, Taco
Oh
probably.
yeah, he's definitely a taco for sure. If you haven't seen The League, go watch it. Great show. He's the taco of our league, 100%. Uh, Let's get on to our next one, Cody. It's Kevin, and you remember this because I wasn't at this draft. Kevin, who was in the Top Shotters Conference back in the day, drafting Marshawn Lynch in the first round, and not Marshawn Lynch in Seattle. We're talking Marshawn Lynch in Oakland with the Oakland Raiders. That Marshawn Lynch with a first round pick.
And this isn't like the first round pick that is, we have keepers. This is the first implement of like the 5 keepers. So this was literally the first draft. So you probably had, I think he had about the 4th pick, 3rd pick as well.
Yeah.
And just tell me that Marshawn Lynch going to Oakland screams number 3, number 4 player overall, let alone number 3, number 4 running back overall. And I think he was pretty injured that year as well. And I think he finished like 40 something in the 40s.
Oh yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So I mean, it just, I don't know. Like, and people, I think people, you get these people that don't know other names, so when they just gravitate towards names they know, which is a reasonable thing to do. But at the end of the day, grabbing Marshawn with the Raiders,
No,
with the 3rd or 4th pick.
this was Marshawn Lynch with the Raiders right here.
I'm over 72, and I feel great.
That was Marshawn Lynch that year. I mean,
No comment.
yeah. I think our next one, and Cody, honestly, I'd only met the guy once, and that was at our first draft, so I'd forgotten his name, obviously. But a guy named, yeah, he was an OG for a quick minute. A guy named Marvin was in our first draft and totally ghosted us after drafting. Like I never saw the guy ever again. Like, we went to the same high school and I never saw him. And I just remember thinking, like, whatever happened to him? So we ended up replacing him like that same week with my dad.
No. Didn't we make it through the year?
Maybe we got to week 2. We didn't get very far.
I think what it ended up, because it was the first year we were doing this, and I don't think we were real strict, and I think we just kind of let that roster kind of go.
Well, I know my dad took it over during the season. I just can't remember if it was like middle of week 1 or
man.
It was first 3 weeks.
Do you, man? Maybe you have a better recollection than me, but I don't know.
I'd have to ask my dad.
I got left alone and just, I don't know.
It was a Wild West back in 2010, our first season. The majority of us were in high school. Some of Cameron was in middle school at the time. My brother. So the oldest one is my dad. So if that tells you anything, kind of where our headspace was back then when we first started this league, it was totally different than where we're at now in 2020.
And at that point, like, we'll just say, like, your dad wasn't in it at that point, and we were drafting in my bedroom, like,
in a corner of
Cody's
bedroom. A corner of their bedroom, not just their bedroom. Like, we're all like in a corner. We've got 2 pieces of paper, maybe 3, taped up against the wall, and we're literally like crossing off names as we're doing this. We didn't even have a real draft board. It was like we totally threw this up together the last minute.
Printed a bunch of names off,
yes,
and like you just went and like marked off your guy.
Exactly.
But we had it on a big old like what's the big old bulletin board?
Did we even have that? I thought that was later.
Yeah, I just no. That big old bulletin board. It was like one of the ones where you can stick tacks in. I just remember it was hanging there, like it was in my bedroom. It was like something my grandmother had given me, and I just like hung things on it. And that's what we ended up sticking it to.
Yeah.
We like tacked it all up there.
Yeah,
I remember it. Well,
I'm gonna try to speed through some of these last few not so great moments, and we get at the good ones. Next one up was Colby refusing to pay Jade in I guess that would have been our 3rd season. Totally refused to pay Jade because Jade didn't pay the first season. Because like I said, we were pretty lax and we had no idea what the hell we were doing back in 2010. So Colby kind of stuck him with it. He's like, oh, screw you, dude. I'm not paying you. And that was before we ever somehow thought of the great idea of collecting money before the draft ever started. Instead, don't worry about it, man. Just pay end of the year. Yeah, just pay whoever wins. Just don't.
I mean, as kids, you pay it when you can.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking $20 was like a catastrophic sum to come up with back in the day. You know, like when you're making $7 an hour, $20 goes a long ways. Trust me. And anyways, so there's that. The next one, the Cameron Jade fiasco or the Cameron Jade gate. I wish we had Cameron on the show right now because he remembers the exact player. A guy, honest to God, I can't even think of his name at this point because he's so irrelevant.
I don't remember.
Maybe if you played daily fantasy that far back, I didn't even think it existed, he would have been a stud for like 2 weeks. But anyways, long story short, Cameron Jade Cameron agreed to trade Jade like a wide receiver or something so Jade could win for that week. And the deal was Jade doesn't give back to him after that. Well, we found out about it after they had already done the trade that this is going on, right? Oh, this is colluding. Screw that. So we told Jade, well, one, we told Jade you can't give him back. And then two, Jade was never going to give him back to Cameron to begin with, which is really messed up. So just a huge fiasco there. I swear we're a great league to play in, guys. This is not
Cam
define
basically
us.
got Jude.
Yeah.
He was getting Jude no matter what.
Yeah, regardless. Yeah.
Once they stepped in, he was getting Jude. So.
Yeah. And the last one here, Daquan forgetting to set his lineup during the Little Critter Bowl. That has got to be one of the worst ones, especially for him, because he's such a good guy and he is competitive, and he's actually really good at fantasy. So for him, I don't know if he was sick or something weird happened where he literally couldn't make it to set it up.
I can give you the inside scoop.
All right, let's do it.
Right here, right now. This guy stayed up playing 2K all night till like 7 o'clock in the morning and then didn't wake up in time to set his lineup.
2K, oh my god, dude. 2K is what got him. It'll do it. It'll do it. Happens to the best of us, apparently. So let's start off with their greatest moments. And like I said, we'll try not to kill you guys with time. We're at 11 minutes, or about 12 minutes now, so we're doing pretty good. Our first one up, we're going to kind of go in somewhat order of when these events happened, and these are our top 10 that we could think of, was Mike Vick, in no particular order, by the way, in terms of rankings, but Mike Vick leading the charge for Colby's first championship in LCC history in 2010. That was, if you remember Mike Vick in Atlanta, that was great, but remember his bounce back in Philadelphia, how just amazing he was as a fantasy quarterback, not because necessarily his accuracy, his quarterback rating, or even his passing yards, but his ability to run. And especially in our scoring system, then it just, man, it was perfect. Perfect.
And if one game embodies what that whole season was for Mike Vick, it's that Washington game where Mike Vick could literally not miss. You know, it's one of the more like, it's one of those Brett Favre games in like since, you know, maybe not quite as special as that Brett Favre dad game, but it's like right up there with it. You know, they absolutely destroyed Washington that season. But yeah, I mean, he literally he led Colby to a championship, and I mean, I haven't seen a player dominate like that in our fantasy since probably like in a single season, like on the championship winning team. Normally it's a well put together team. I feel like Colby, like Michael Vick, drug Colby's team.
Oh yeah, for sure. He was a freak. Next up that we got is the first keepers ever used in the summer of 2011, so our second season. And I remember at the time, some guys were like, keepers? What? I didn't know we were doing keepers. And some people, like, I don't want to say they were screwed because everyone had at least one guy because we only did one keeper. We didn't have multiple keepers. We weren't keeping half your roster. It wasn't a dynasty league, really. It was, you keep one player for as long as you want, and that was it. And just from personal experience, I know my keeper through those years was Drew Brees, and he was a key fundamental part of me being really good because he was a stud from 2010 to 2013. Those 4 seasons, he was great. He was one of the best, consistently a top 3 fantasy quarterback, even the best, actually, at least one of those years, if I remember right.
I mean, and that's why, like, there's a good reason why you're probably the leader in wins in the whole entire league, you know?
Yeah, I literally, every year I had a top 3 quarterback, and I never drafted early enough to get a good running back, so my running backs always sucked. So what I would do is I'd go like receiver, first and second round, and just double up and get two of like the best receivers. And that together actually kind of compensated for not having running back. But because I never had that stud running back, that was a big reason why I never.
I don't know. I
won a
remember a
championship
year
either.
where I traded you LaShawn McCoy.
That was our first year. Yeah, I remember
Was that first or second?
that was first year. I was within the first couple weeks. I traded you
And
Reggie
that was-
Wayne and
Yep.
maybe someone else for
A
LaShawn
tight
McCoy.
end. Like maybe Reggie Wayne and Vernon Davis or something.
Something like that, yeah. For LaShawn. And LaShawn McCoy, for the most part, was kind of unknown. Like, you knew who he was. You knew he was the lead back in Buffalo. Not Buffalo. In Philadelphia. But holy crap, LaShawn McCoy ended up paying off huge.
Yeah, he went off that season. I remember liking him in that draft, and I drafted him in the fourth
Yeah,
round.
yeah.
And then, like, and I you know what? I trade because, like, I feel like it's kind of fun in a way, but I really don't like to trade because I always, like, feel terrible after I trade. Like, I feel like I lost. Like, and it's unlike the draft. Like, when I draft players, and I'm like, man, I feel like I'm about to have a dominant squad. When I trade, I feel like I lost the trade every single time.
Yeah. Yeah. So that happened. Number 3 on our list is the first keeper draft pick. Keeper/draft pick ever traded in league history between Jade and Cody. And Cody, I don't even remember the players. I think Chris Johnson was involved in that trade.
Yeah. No, it was literally just Chris Johnson. He traded me his first round pick for Chris Johnson. And I
Damn.
actually think, like, I didn't do well that season because obviously I didn't capitalize on the draft pick. But at the end of the day, like, Chris Johnson had just had that 2,000-yard season, and he kind of fell off the next year.
Yeah, he never lived up to that again.
Yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, like, I ended up, if you talk about just the pick, like, I don't even think Chris Johnson finished among the top 12, so I don't think he finished in the first round.
I think he
So,
was like a borderline running back 1 that next year,
Yeah.
if I remember right. I mean, he was definitely.
Which
Jade
if you're
ended up
talking
having
about-
Adrian Peterson and Chris Johnson, which on paper, after that
Yeah.
Chris Johnson breakout year, he was like, holy crap, this dude, how does he not win a championship? Because he had to give up like a first round pick or something to do that, if I remember right.
Yeah. And I think that was AP coming off injury and ended up having like a 2,000-yard
Yeah.
season or
So
something.
AP kind of made up for the step back
Yeah.
of Chris Johnson, but yeah, that was a blockbuster trade. It wasn't some kind of like, oh, here's like a wide receiver 3 for your tight end 2 type deal. It was like a bam, like a big boy trade in our first offseason, which was kind of
I
cool.
wish I remembered like who I drafted that year.
I could probably find out if I really dug hard enough. I feel like I could
Yeah.
probably find out.
It wasn't good because I probably ended up with like the worst record.
All right, so our next up, we've got Eastside Brawlers pulling off one of the biggest Little Critter Bowl upsets in league history, and that was against Jade in 2013. 2012, Jade beat my dad in the Little Critter Bowl, and after that, I think I barely squeaked in the playoffs. Jade was the contender. He's about to go back-to-back. He did go back-to-back, but he didn't win back-to-back, as my dad pulled a huge upset, I remember. And I think he had to have like a huge Monday night or Sunday night game for it to pull off, and it ended up happening. He ended up winning in that game, which was pretty cool.
Thank God.
Thank God, because Jade would be the only person to three-peat. Jade was talking about what he called a two-peat, which we quickly corrected him. We quickly corrected him, told him, no, you mean a repeat, but he said a two-peat. He almost two-peated, but luckily he did not.
I got the two-peat.
I got to two-peat. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that's funny. People were roasting him. If we had that group chat like we had like back then.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh my God.
and
you were taking it really personal too. All right.
I don't doubt it.
So next up is our. What are we at? This is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
ESPN.
The league graduated from ESPN to CBS, and then finally moved to My Fantasy League. And I
I'll
feel
say
like
it was a big jump from ESPN to CBS.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
'cause I like CBS.
I love
ESPN was
CBS.
probably the worst. Yeah.
ESPN is really cool if you're just trying to do like a quick league with some people from work
Yeah.
type of deal. But if you're trying to do like a long lasting league with a lot of history and you're starting to kind of craft your own rules, like I would say go to CBS. If not CBS, definitely go to My Fantasy League because My Fantasy League has the most customization, but CBS, for some reason, more expensive. It still has a lot of cool features, and I think they even include like a draft board, not a virtual one, but like your standard paper draft board. If you purchase the league by a certain period of time, which we loved CBS until I discovered My Fantasy League in like the winter of 2013, going into 2014. I was like, holy crap, we should do this. And I remember when we switched My Fantasy League, people are like, what the hell are we doing? This looks like shit. I mean, I remember because the website for the longest time, My Fantasy League was kind of ugly. Like when you first, back in the day, it's been out forever, like well before we ever started using it. But it was like they kind of lagged behind the interface websites, even like ESPN and NFL.com. But eventually they did a huge massive update about 2-3 years ago, and I think that's definitely helped. People just got used to it too. But most people, especially if you're new to fantasy football, have not heard of My Fantasy League, but I'm Tony now, if you plan on setting up a long-lasting league, that's the way to go. Screw NFL.com, screw Yahoo. Definitely, Yahoo's the worst. Forget ESPN, forget CBS. I don't even know if Fox has one, but definitely don't use that. Go to My Fantasy League because that's where we're going to end up 10 years down the road anyways. You're saving yourself a huge headache in the long run.
Yeah, the customization is just the best part of it. Like
Yeah.
My Fantasy League, like rules and how you can set the league up and like what you can restrict and what you can, allow access to. I think it's definitely the best for us, especially like for a league that, you got a lot of people and you if you want to expand too. Like I think My Fantasy League is one of the better ones. If
You can go
wanna
over 90
with-
teams, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
I wouldn't like that.
I wouldn't like that.
But that definitely My Fantasy League. I definitely approve.
Yeah, and that they're actually our sponsor. No, I'm just kidding. That would be really cool. If you guys are listening, we're open to it.
Can yeah.
Yeah. So next up is the birth of the Critter Cup. Not the Little Critter Bowl, if you're thinking that, but the actual trophy, the physical trophy that we have. We didn't actually purchase that until 2014. You think we started 2010, so it took us a good 5 years before we ever did it. But it was like right after the end of the 2014 season, or towards the end. I remember me and Jordan, we were living in Greenwood, South Carolina, going to Lander University. We're not sponsored by them either, if you're thinking that. We don't have any sponsors, by the way. But anyways, like I remember there's this real shitty trophy shop just down the road from us called Romac. And we go there. Oh, dude, I remember we raised the dudes or something, and we took a percentage out to buy a trophy. That was a big deal. So most of us were either college aged or in high school still. So we go to this shop, we're like, hey, we've got like $100 to buy a trophy, and we didn't even know what that was going to get us. We knew it was going to be better than your participation trophy getting Little League football, but we knew it wasn't going to get us something, made out of metal and like customized totally. So anyways, we got the trophy. It ended up being really cool. They kind of screwed up the the nameplates on it, and not that they misspelled anything or got the records of the years wrong. It's just if you really look at it long enough, they're a little crooked, and to me that bothers me. But luckily, I've never won a championship, so I don't have to look at it, I guess.
Okay, so like I've won 2, and they were back-to-back years, so I basically have it the last 2 years. The nameplates are crooked. They use different screws on them. Okay, they use different font size, and the spacing between the nameplates are all F. Okay, there you go. That's the rundown.
Yeah, it has a lot of character. If you win a championship, it has a lot of character. Wait till we see the trophy. Next up, we've got Jade, Matt, and Cody all tying for the most Little Critter Bowl wins in a career, which is 2. Jade's the only one that has 3 appearances, but still only 2 championship wins. And that's a huge milestone. I feel like when you've had a league long enough, we've got 3 guys who've won multiple championships, each in like a different era of the league. Jade in the 16 team league, right? And /12 team league.
Both of them? Oh, okay, I was about to say, yeah.
I think
thought
he did it both
170
with 16 teams, actually. I think he
Did
did.
he really?
Yeah. And
Well, his was like 2 and 3 years or something like that, right?
yeah, he won year 3. Year 4, he made it and lost. In year 5, he won. And then year 6, we expanded to 24 teams. Matt won. And then he won the following year, too. And then after that, we switched to IDP, and that's when Cody won the next 2. So it's kind of interesting. You can almost look at it as football, how the Cowboys dominated in one decade, the next decade this other team dominated. It was different eras of the game. You respect the fact that they won the championships, but the way they won it was totally differently because the league was like a whole different setup at the time.
Those 16 team, we had defensive players in the 16 team.
We
right?
did for one season, and it was
Who won
so
that?
bad. I think Jay did, but that's the thing. We only had
It was
one.
like one player, right?
You started one IDP player, which is a total joke. It's better just not even to do IDP if you're going to do that, really. I'm saying we actually, in fact, that's what we did. We said, this is stupid. We got rid of it. We went back to defense special teams. We did that for maybe 2 more years. I want to say 3 more years. And then we ultimately made the full leap into IDP, which took us I feel like it got 3 months to get the scoring, how we wanted it. And then it took us a couple more years to perfect it. And I feel like it's still not right. It's still not perfected. It can be tweaked.
I think receivers are a tad undervalued.
Yeah, I agree.
I keep trying to like throw rules in there to change it, like I did the past 2 years, and each time it gets voted down.
Well, the issue is like someone will propose like, let's take points away from here, let's add points here, and at the end of the day, when you do that, it just ends up being a wash. Like I remember Isaac either wanted to take points away from touchdowns and add them to something else, and I was like, well.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a big difference there. Like ultimately, you got to raise the point value for everything for receivers.
Yeah, I literally posted a thing that only added points to receivers, and then I don't know, people just, I guess.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, not everybody, obviously, because it was a pretty close thing. I think it was really like a 1 to 2 vote difference this past year on the ones I proposed, and you grouped it together too, so it was like add. And I think I had pushed it down to 5 for reception, because that's basically what it is for running backs, 5 yards, and it's the point for a running back. 5 yards for a receiver, it's a point, man. Like instead of 10.
Yeah.
It's just, like they're dominant receivers, and I think they just like Michael Thomas should have been in the top 25 in scoring last year. Was he? Probably not.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd have to look that up. I feel like he was probably close to that if he wasn't. Anyways, we'll move on to our next one. The next one, the unimaginable Elite 12 Conference Championship upsets involving Maria upsetting myself to go to the Little Critter Bowl, Kyle upsetting Cameron. I want to say I think that's right. Billy upsetting a bunch of people to get to the Little Critter Bowl, and then Cameron, who I'll even say myself, I kind of wrote him off because of some of the injuries and stuff he had. And I was like, well, dude, there's some better teams in there. Your team's good, but it hasn't been super consistent all year. And it just peaked at the right time. And he ended up actually winning the Little Critter Bowl, unlike Billy, Kyle, and Maria. But that was, I felt like the Elite 12 was known for its upsets. By the time we realigned and everything this spring or winter, every year there was an upset in the playoffs. It was wild. You couldn't even predict it, really, because who would have thought a guy, especially like Kyle, I remember drafting, we're like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, it reminded me a lot like Jade, how Jade would draft, and you're like, all right, Jade he's lost handle on reality and is just drafting wildly, and it ended up paying off. And he ended up making some trades and free agent moves and ended up paying out in the long run, but still, I just felt like you could never get a pulse on who was going to win that conference.
Did he go to the championship the
Kyle?
first year I won?
I say you beat. Yeah, you're right.
I beat
Kyle.
Billy the second year.
Yeah.
So Kyle was the first.
Yeah,
one.
Kyle was the first. Yeah.
And then Billy went the second year. That's funny. The last 3, y'all on y'all's side, all 3 came from that.
Yeah.
Right? Kyle, Billy, and Cameron in a division.
No.
No.
Kyle was in Jameson's
Maria.
that year.
Oh, okay.
No. Actually, I'm wrong. He came from Maria's. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Maria and Jade, is that what it was? Or
It was like Maria, Kyle, and I think you're right. I think Jade was the other one.
yeah, because Maria left and then your brother came in.
Oh, Bryson. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I thought you were talking about Cameron. I don't think he ever left. Yeah, Bryson. That was a mistake.
Dang,
That should
Bryson
go
took
in the.
over Maria's.
No, he took over Ethan's team. Now that I think about it,
Okay.
that team was already trashed.
Yeah,
That was-
he didn't.
Yeah.
Why should have let him have Maria's team?
You know, we gave Jade that team, and Jade did nothing with it.
Yeah, he trashed it.
Yeah, he made it. He made it a lot worse. So yeah, we'll move on to our next one. And Cody thought of this one. I didn't even think about it. I forgot about it. Ryan won the 2011 championship, the second Little Critter Bowl, with a legendary 2 tight end set featuring Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. Rest in peace, by the way. If you think about that, you don't see tight end duos like that
You will
anymore.
never.
You will never see it probably ever again. And especially Gronkowski back then. I know some people are like, oh yeah, Gronkowski's back. He's going to be a tight end 1 automatically in Tampa Bay. I can't totally buy into that, but Gronkowski back then in 2011 and Aaron Hernandez, holy crap, those guys were outstanding.
Filthy. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that was both their second years in the league, and that's when they both kind of like popped onto the scene. Not
Yeah.
that they didn't have good rookie years, but that's when they both kind of. And what's funny about it is it's not only crazy to see like a 2 tight end set in fantasy nowadays or anytime, even back then, but to have 2 tight ends from the same team.
Yeah. That was a phenomenon. We will probably never see that ever again. And then our last one here, Le'Veon Bell leading Maria. And by the way, if you don't know, that's my wife. Leading her team to the Little Critter Bowl, and she was also the first woman in the league. And her first year, she made it and beat the shit out of me in the semifinals. Like Le'Veon Bell against Buffalo put up 95 points in our league, and I know like that's a lot, right? Regardless of what scoring format you're using, but it was ungodly back in 2016. Like I know our scoring system is very inflated, but it wasn't nearly as inflated in 2016. So Le'Veon Bell putting up 95 points back then, I don't even know what that would be today. That would be over 100 for sure. And to this day, Le'Veon Bell from that week is second all time in single game scoring. To this day, and it's just, dude.
Didn't it just get broke this past year?
Jamal Adams broke it with 98 points in week 10. So, by 3 points.
And she's also, I want to say, she'll appreciate this, the first Hispanic.
Yeah, that's true. First, a lot of things actually.
Yeah, so let's first everything out here. We got to coin it. Everybody knows.
If she ever joins again, we're gonna have to call our rivalry like the domestic violence bowl or something, because that was brutal. I got the crap out of me in that game.
Yeah, dude.
I still feel it.
In jail.
She should be in jail. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, Cody. Thank you so much, like always. We'll see you guys next week. Best of luck to everyone in the waiver wire, which I'll be putting some more information up the next night or two on that. But we will see you guys later. See ya.